Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm over here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you all here. I hope you had a great lunch. We have a great afternoon here, launching something monumental today. My name is Yvonne Aquara. I will be taking you through this very auspicious launch of the Citizens of the Future. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. But before we begin, let's set some house rules, shall we? First, let's remind you all to kindly put your phones on silent so they don't interrupt our proceedings here today. Secondly, in case of any emergency, we do not foresee that, but should there be the need for that, the exits are clearly marked. And in case you need any assistance, we have our team and our staff who are ushers in branded attire. Please do not hesitate to ask them for any information you might need so that we can make this a truly great experience for all of us here. And also at Safaricom, very, very keen on safety. So I'd like us all to take a moment to go through Safaricom's safety rallying call. So to the Safaricom team in the room, can we please go through the safety rallying call? Absolutely. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And so, as we begin, may I please ask us all to rise for the Kenya National Anthem and the East African National Anthem, and it'll be beautifully led by the team from the M-Pesa Foundation Academy. Thank you very much, M-Pesa Foundation Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, you may take your seats. And as you do so, can we have a huge round of applause for the M-Pesa Foundation Academy? Ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason they're here, because this is the citizens of the future, isn't it? This is the future. And you will hear a lot more from them throughout this afternoon. And we'll be telling you why in every way, in every aspect, in the arts and the sciences, in music, these are the young men and women, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, who are representing what we are here to launch today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this launch today is the culmination of many efforts. For those who are not here, we were here a couple of weeks ago in an education summit that brought everybody together, public, private sector, those in academia and researchers, to try to reimagine together the state of our education, what needs to take place. And so in all of that, ladies and gentlemen, that is what brings together the entire banner of education. from the work that's being done by Safaricom, by the Safaricom Foundation, by the M-Pesa Foundation. That all comes together today in the Citizens of the Future initiative. And so at this time, I would like to pay special mention and recognition to all of you who are here today. Distinguished guests, including the Principal Secretary in Education, Professor Julius Bitok, Dr. Esther Moria, who's the Principal Secretary in the State Department for TIVET, Mr. Peter Ndegwa, the CEO of Safaricom PLC, thank you for being with us. Mr. Michael Joseph, Trustee, M-Pesa Foundation. Mr. Joseph Ogutu, who's the Chairman of the Safaricom Foundation. Mr. Nicholas Nganga, the Chairman of the M-Pesa Foundation. And to all of you here who have made the time to be with us, leaders in education, stakeholders, guests, esteemed partners, parents, students, young men and women, welcome to the launch of the Citizens of the Future Foundation. And of course, we're taking a look at what happens going forward. Now, because this is all about the citizens of the future, some of us might represent the now, but also the past. And so it is only befitting, ladies and gentlemen, that I introduce to you my co-host, my co-MC, who is himself a citizen of the future. From the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to invite my co-MC for the day, Mr. Basil Omondi. Please give him a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Basil Omondi, and I am a citizen of the future, here to make sure Yvonne goes home without a job.
Yeah. You know, this is becoming a regular with Safaricom. If you don't want me, it's fine. But this is the reason why. We won't be doing this for long. Everything we do now, we do for the citizens of the future. And it is my great honor to be doing this with you. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Basil Omondi, as I said, and I'm 18, which means I can legally get paid. And I am an orator. I like to consider myself one. I am a student of the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, a proud beneficiary of the work of the M-Pesa and Safaricom Foundation. And I am a citizen of the future.
You are indeed. So it's good to have you here. I must also say, because I've had challenges with adopting tech, that's why we brought Basil on board. I have no paper today, for the record. Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time coming, but here we are. So it's good to have you. Okay, what?
No, I'm just surprised.
At what?
You don't know how to use tech, and we are talking about the future. Yvonne, don't you know that the future is actually meant for people who know how to use tech?
It is indeed.
And on that regard, do you know you're not in it?
I am well aware. I'm made aware of that every day, but I am learning. Which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Yes, as are you.
Yes.
So we're both learning.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll teach me.
And you'll teach me.
Good. I like that. That's the way it happens, right? Good. Super. So, just so you know, we've come a long way with tech and everything. There was a time we didn't use that. Now we do.
I'm glad.
Yeah, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
I wouldn't.
No, yeah, no idea what I'm talking about. There was a time, Basil, there were no phones. Mobile phones anyway.
And how are you communicating to each other?
There was something called a phone booth.
A phone booth?
Yeah.
You know,
a box that had a phone, you'd go in, put a coin in, dial a number.
And how do you send money to each other?
So now we use money orders. You know what those are?
Yes.
How do you know that?
I don't.
Yeah, okay. I bet they don't even teach you that in school because you don't need to know that
We are
anymore.
going to the future, Yvonne.
Yes, we are. So there was a time M-Pesa didn't exist.
Tragic.
I know, isn't it? That's why we're here, and this is the Citizen of the Future. Basil, I'm very happy to be doing this with you.
I'm very honored to be sharing a stage with you.
Absolutely. Great. So let's get this started, shall we? And to just help us set the scene and the context, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to hear now from Ms. Karen Bassier, who is the Director, Sustainable Business and Social Impact at Safaricom. Karen, where are you, Karen?
Good afternoon, everyone. The year is 2050. You're battling a physics problem. But you have an AI companion, an AI learning companion. It's no longer about studying the gladiators in ancient Rome or the Mau Mau on text alone. But we will take you on a virtual trip to the cities, the forest. You can hear the sounds at the market, interact with the communities, and lose your breath at the architecture and marvel at nature. It's time for biology now, and we are flying through the human cell in a VR, and human protein cells are being assembled. I mean, stem cell technology is but a thing of the past. Sorry, I digress. For the teacher, you are toggling between dashboards with droves of data on each learner, with real-time updates to the parents on complementary support back at home, and maybe, just maybe, a little more time for soccer or grounding after school. As a parent, this is instant intervention. Imagine no longer having to sign a diary after work. By the way, did I sign my son's diary yesterday? I was here late. I see sound dampening pods, creative work streams with my next class building prototypes, teachers moving between the zones as curators of experiences and not instructors. In this here future, technology is no longer an add-on. It is the realm of knowledge. We are moving from memorization to application. Learning is now about unpacking complex, real-world problems, designing sustainable cities for 2075, integrating human behavior to design, infrastructure, governance models fashioned for the time. This is our future verse. It's graduation day. Yay, finally. Armed with your micro-credentials, a digital portfolio of your work, the robot you built, an attempt at solution architecture, multilingual negotiation skills, and this is just what the workplace needs. Ladies and gentlemen, this picture isn't perfectly polished yet. As you can see, the digital divide is no longer about who has a device. Safaricom fixed that in 2025. It's about reliable connectivity, that you're able to navigate the future of learning, parents, caregivers, your nanny back at home. Everyone is involved. The more we change, the more we stay the same. It is about a child being raised in a digital village. Remember, we are in 2025. The picture of 2050. The picture of 2050 education is not a silent, orderly room. It's a vibrant, sometimes messy, but a deeply personalized workshop for the mind. It's a place that values questions as much as it does answers. Focused not on piling facts, but experiences that build problem solvers, empathetic citizens for a world we are just starting to imagine. So, how do we get to 2050? We've got to study the past if you want to define the future. Confucius said that, not me. History is written by the victors. I didn't say that. That's Thomas Jefferson. And if we have to get to 2050, where did this story begin? The story begins in the year 2000, and it is a great honor and privilege to invite Michael Joseph, Safaricom's founder, CEO, and trustee of M-Pesa Foundation, to share his reflections and where it all started. Karibu sana, Michael. As Michael walks on stage, think about your favorable moment. The guys here. My favorable moment in school was closing day. I loved closing day. Maziwa ya Nyayo, anyone connect? Yeah, we drank that milk 3 times a week. standing out of your school and waving the flag as the president passed for some money. You are all my age mates. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I didn't have any single joyous moment at school. So I was a terrible student, by the way, terrible. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Peter Ndegwe, the Group CEO, Nicholas Nanga, the Chairman of the M-Pesa Foundation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of my prepared speech. Okay. It is really an honor to be here today, and this is, our 25th year. We started just 1 week ago, 23rd of October in Carnival. We launched Safaricom with a great fanfare. My most memorable time from that evening, was that everybody drank all the beer in the first 10 minutes. So we had to. That was the audience that I had to deal with in the future. That remember to bring enough booze. Okay. The second thing I remember was being terrified to speak publicly. It was not a problem because the floodlights were so strong that I couldn't see anybody. So I wasn't scared about speaking because I couldn't see anybody. But those were memorable days. Probably Peter cannot sympathize with this, but 2 days later the network collapsed and we spent the next 3 days with no network. And then it occurred a few times later after that. But I think what I really want to say to you is it's an honor to be here today because from the start of Safaricom, from 2000 through to Bob Collymore, through to Peter, we had one abiding objective, is to transform lives and change people's lives for the better. And I think that's what makes Safaricom the Safaricom it is today. When you say you from Safaricom to people out there, after they complain about the price of the network and the price of M-Pesa, then they are proud to know that you are from Safaricom and they are part of Safaricom, despite the price that they have to pay. But I think our pride should be at how we've changed people's lives in this country from the very beginning, right from 2000 till today. And only after a few years did we start the Safaricom Foundation, which continues to do great work now under the auspices of Chairman of Joe Gutu, who's still here, despite having retired 20 years ago. How he manages to look like that, I do not know. And then, we formed the M-Pesa Foundation after the success of M-Pesa became so successful that we needed to find a way, how could we change people's lives using the M-Pesa interest that we earned every day. And the M-Pesa Foundation started, I can't remember which day, probably Karen can tell me, wherever Karen may be, can tell me when did we start the M-Pesa Foundation, which year? Anyway, nobody seems to remember. But 2010, we started the M-Pesa Foundation, and subsequently we started the M-Pesa Academy. And the Academy, and many of you saw the students from the M-Pesa Academy today, whenever I see them play in that orchestra, I just feel so proud of what they have achieved. And by the way, those kids couldn't play that instrument 3 or 4 years ago, That's, for them, is something new. And, the M-Pesa Academy has been going for a few years now. I think we've had 1,400 students through there. And it's an immense, you feel your heart pumps and you cry a little bit when you see what they have achieved. And a few months ago, I was honored. I went to a graduation ceremony in Cardiff University for 11 students from the academy that graduated them. Just students, young people from the bush, literally, who are now graduates and going to do full-time jobs somewhere. It's an immense achievement, and I'm very happy. And my only regret is that Bob is not here to see this today, and I think he would be enormously proud to see what we achieved. And I think what we're doing now, what we're doing in our next incarnation is the citizens of the future. So we've educated a few people, 1,400 kids at the M-Pesa Academy. The Safaricom Foundation has done quite a lot. We're rebuilding, I can't remember how many schools, primary schools, we're rebuilding across Kenya, maybe 400 primary schools that we're rebuilding. You'll see some of them in that exhibition back there, and you can see how we've transformed those schools. We're building clinics, we're building hospitals, we're putting fencing around, what's the place in Kakabega Forest? We put a fence around Iburu. We're doing many, many projects. But this next project that we're doing now, I think is really the next big thing that we want to do. How do we create the citizens of the future that will be your leaders and your children's leaders in the next 20, 30, 40 years? And this program that I'm sure you'll hear about later on will be the next program for the M-Pesa Foundation. And it's not to change 100 students a year, but it's to change 500 students a year, to give them an education that they would not normally get if they just had to struggle on their own. And I think we can be very proud as Safaricom, as a Safaricom Foundation, as the M-Pesa Foundation, to be part of this. And I want to thank, probably I should be remiss if I didn't thank the ministry, the government, the Ministry of Education, the PS, for supporting us on this journey. Because without them, we could not do it. But I think everybody recognizes that what Safaricom is doing is unique in the world. You know, not only do we have M-Pesa, which is unique in the world, but we have this charitable programs that change people's lives. Just this small little company that's doing such great things in Kenya today. So let me see if I'm supposed to have said more things that I haven't said. Okay, maybe not. Okay, yeah. I'm sure Karen will be disappointed that I didn't read the speech she wrote for me. Yeah. But they know me by now. I've only read one prepared speech in my whole life. So, and that was with President Kibaki, because it was the first time I had to deliver a speech in his presence. And he probably didn't listen to what I said anyway, so it didn't matter. But anyway, thank you very much for coming. It's a great honor, I once again say, in our 25th year. Thank you to Peter for supporting us. You know, Peter is an accountant, you know. He's not an engineer like me and other people here who have great vision. You know, we build bridges, we build power lines. I don't know what accountants do, but, you know, but unfortunately, despite being an accountant, he has supported our efforts and been a really big part of what we're going to do in the future and what we have done in the past. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Joseph, for that interesting reflections from high school. There was something Karen said about maziwa ya Nyayo. Basil, maziwa ya Nyayo.
I'm lactose intolerant, thank you.
You would not have survived in the Nyayo era. So tell me, because for the rest of us it's historical, right? Like, what was our memory of high school? For you, it's current, isn't it? So
Very current.
So it's not historical, but what's your greatest memory of high school or primary school right now?
My greatest memory of primary school was same to Karen, actually the closing day, but I would say the closing week. Because we had this period after the end of term exams where you wouldn't attend school for the entire week.
Oh.
Because teachers are marking, right? Teachers are marking exams and you have a leeway. You can stay at home, you know. And yeah, you can. We had homes.
Oh.
Yeah, we are back from the Stone Age now. People live in houses, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
And thanks for letting me know. Yeah. You know.
Yes, we are in the future.
But then the Stone Age wasn't too far for some of us.
Have you ever heard of iCloud, Yvonne?
Yeah.
It doesn't cause rainy weather, Yvonne.
Heard.
iCloud is how we used to store our memories back then.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how you did yours, but so that was my school experience.
All right.
Anyone in the audience?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing your school experience?
And Basil, just for the record, when people don't volunteer, I do that for them. So yay, we've got two people over here. So the gentleman in the denim jacket, sorry, the other one, can you please put your hand up so we can see you? Okay, so let's start with the gentleman here in the center. Thank you. Please stand up.
Thank you.
Tell us your name, and you don't have to say anything else, but give us your memory.
Thank you. My name is Samuel Nondo from Tenada Youth Action Africa. Well, the memories I have is for boys, the closing day we used to fight. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. Ilikuwa inaitwa Mengo outside of school 110. You settle all your scores. Basil, so what it was any beef you had, you settled it after school. Outside the school premises where you would fight and settle everything. It was called 110, 110, whatever it was, but yeah, that was it.
I get that you guys didn't have laws.
Surely, Basil. Yes, sir.
Okay, hi everyone.
Hi.
My name is Evans. Ironical name, I'm called Mzungu. I'm alumni of the M-Pesa Foundation Academy.
Congratulations.
Yes, so my greatest memory, I think, in primary school, the exam papers are out, especially math and science. Someone comes, starts crying, I failed, my mom is going to cane me. Then I'm like, I ask her or him, what have you gotten? 90. I'm looking at my paper, I have 28%. What do you mean you're crying? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Well, at least on that front, nothing's changed because 90 was a failure in most homes, wasn't it?
Wait.
So where was the 10%? Why didn't you get the rest of the 10?
You were doing exams back then. You had science and maths.
Basil, yes, we did study math and science.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to be on the same page.
That's how we built everything that you have now, and now we're handing it over to you, the citizens of the future.
So I'm trying to understand how you build something you can't use till date.
No, just me. No, don't hold up my inefficiencies on everybody else.
Okay.
The tech issue is a me issue.
No, these are young people.
Not everybody else.
Young
They're young and young at heart.
Yeah, the
I'm
new
still
generation,
student. Yes,
People of
aren't
the
you
future.
all? Aren't you
People
all
of the
citizens of the future? Great. So tell us where we're going to next, Basil.
For that, you usually use Google Maps. But, ladies and gentlemen, here today we are honored to be joined by a group of talented individuals. And to give us a taste of African culture as we move into the future, we welcome the M-Pesa Foundation Academy for the traditional African drum circle.
Good afternoon. Before you is the M-Pesa Foundation Academy Drum Circle. We gather around the drums and we connect not just through sound, but through soul. Each beat is a reminder to pause, to breathe, to simply be. Together we synchronize and find meaning in our shared identity. Ladies and gentlemen, may this rhythm carry you to the same place of peace it brings to us. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a great cultural experience. Please give them another warm round of applause. And that is what this is all about. It's about creating an all-round ecosystem for education, be it the arts, be it our culture, be it our history, and our understanding. We're starting to get a glimpse, Basil, of the sort of experience you're getting at the M-Pesa Foundation Academy.
Wonderful experience.
It is, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can still feel the energy, cultural pride, my people. Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Your people. That's important.
My
Stay
people.
grounded.
Yes.
Even as you look to the future and, a global one as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, super. So this is a good moment to remind everybody that you will be here on stage, not just with me throughout, but because you guys are doing something special. As Mr. Michael Joseph said, the M-Pesa Foundation Academy turns 10 next year. Isn't that great? Please, a warm round of applause. And you'll be doing great things, Basil?
We'll be doing something very, very great. When turning 10th next year in February, we'll have a whole school production that will be open for public view. You guys can get your tickets and come and watch Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And of course,
Who's Joseph?
I'm the Joseph.
Of course you are. Of course you are. We expect nothing less. Super. Thank you so much for that. We're looking forward to it. My goodness. M-Pesa Foundation Academy turning 10 next year. M-Pesa turning 18. Safaricom turning 25. Transforming lives, Popoto Lipo. So it's looking really good. The future is bright.
A lot of people are turning a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, let's take this forward and get some great understanding, some thoughtful and inspirational words, ladies and gentlemen, from Mr. Nicholas Nganga, who's the chairman of the M-Pesa Foundation. Welcome, sir. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, thank you very much. So, first, we want to say how impressive all that performance was by those young people, and I hope you give them a big, big round of applause. So, Principal Secretary, State Department of TVET, Dr. Moria, Director, Kenya Institute of Special Education, Dr. Norman Kiogora, Safaricom Chief Executive, Peter Degwa, M-Pesa Foundation Trustee, Michael Joseph, and all the other trustees that are with us today. Chairman of the Safaricom Foundation, Joe Gutu, and all other protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, all of you, for making time to join us today when we celebrate what has been a remarkable 15 years journey of collaboration and to refresh our commitment to education where opportunities begin. Now, when we were discussing this event, somebody asked me a question which I thought was a bit difficult, but it was what my most memorable recollection in the education system would be. There are many memorable events, but just think of this as a starting point. My first contact with education, many, many years ago, in a school where they had, surprising enough, the equivalent of today's pre-primary school. And I end up sitting under a tree in what was, because the classes started at standard 1, if you were below standard 1, what would you be? What would you call that class? It was called substandard. Well, that's the extent of the understanding of the language at that time. Not ECD or anything like that, but substandard. And the recollection that came to my mind was sitting under a tree with a good clod of river mud. Why river mud? Because of its cohesiveness, and being guided by a teacher to formulate my first sort of module of a human being, creating a figurine of a human being. When that exercise was completed, I felt I had made a very major achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, that comment is not about me. It's about a class of people that I don't think we always remember to give the best credit and the best support that they need. And that is teachers, school teachers. I really cannot say enough about how my spirits react when I see a teacher always smiles, whatever the confrontations of the day. They're expected to be looking after a class of 20, 30, and they are confronted by a class of 60. They're still smiling and trying the best they can to attend to every child. I think these are the greatest heroes of this country. And of course, they are the foundation of what we are talking about today, or the pillars of what we are talking today. So over the years, we as Safaricom have been trying to help with reshaping of the education landscape, illuminating the critical need for a more inclusive, engaging, and effective system for both learners and teachers in an increasingly competitive world. In our mind at Safaricom, we have a great vision that is a departure from just teaching and offering education as we know it to co-creating a platform that enhances student skills aligned to Africa's industrialization and economic development across all levels of education. Our world today is increasingly driven by digital advancements, and the traditional classroom setting is evolving into something far more dynamic. Beyond supplementing education, it is about transforming it. Technology today remains the uncompromising disruptive factor driving economic and social development, and the M-Pesa Foundation recognizes the interdependency between technology, education, and innovation, as essential for progress, hence enabling the sector to adopt technology and digital integration beyond infrastructure. I'm just thinking that on that, going back to that little story about my start at school, education is forever an evolution, and it's forever an innovation. How anybody came to think well before the era of plasticine that you could use river mud to formulate figurines. It's basically, at its very basic, an innovation. It is an imaginative creation by a teacher. We have borne witness to what quality education can do for communities, and we owe the learners and teachers an enhanced experience, fundamentally shifting how knowledge is disseminated and required for inclusivity. To reiterate, technology and its advancement not only enrich the education landscape, but also prepare learners and teachers to navigate the world that demands adaptability and innovation. These are the building blocks of what we are calling the citizen of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality we are working hard to define each day, a system that enables us to develop future-proof, adaptable, and agile natives of our future in Kenya, in Africa, today. Our education initiatives are guided by the principle that every child deserves access to quality education, proof of which is embodiment by the 1,100 thinkers, leaders, and doers who have benefited from the M-Pesa Foundation Academy. As educators, policymakers, funders, and learners here today and others elsewhere, we must embrace change and actively pursue ways to democratize knowledge, to empower individuals and support lifelong learning. We continue to work closely with diverse stakeholders to ensure that each of our programs is impactful, inclusive, scalable, and responsive to bridge the gap in access to quality education. And we do this at the most cost-effective manner that we hope would be copied and adopted by others trying to work in the same field. Together with the Ministry of Education and Vodacom Foundation, our Scaling Digital Skills program has equipped over 18,000 teachers in 9 teacher training colleges with digital skills they are passing on to the learners. If I may make a comment here, I think we need to be very, very clear about one thing. If you do not build the foundation from the ground, your house, as it says, I think, in the Bible, will always be shaky. And I'm thinking here that if you do not give proper and comprehensive and adequate and the correct education to the child, you'll end up with a teacher that you may train how to teach, but are still inadequate and therefore are not imparting the correct knowledge to the students, and hence the cycle never breaks. You start with the inadequate material, you train them, yes, but they haven't got enough to impart, and therefore the cycle continues that way. It's very important to break this cycle, and you can only break it right at the beginning by having the right kind of education, the right kind of skills, and the right kind of institutions and frameworks and systems for imparting good, proper education. In partnership with Christian Blind Mission, our Wezesha Elimu program has provided rehabilitation and physiotherapy services to over 188 children with disabilities, enabling them to access formal education and learning and training. Across the 47 counties, we have worked with local communities to renovate or completely build school infrastructure using local labor and materials, delivering educational and economic benefits. To date, we have renovated over 300 schools, creating safe, modern, and inspiring spaces for thousands of learners to thrive. And as perhaps you heard Mr. Michael Joseph mention, actually, the numbers that we are dealing with currently now are much higher than that. These learning and training institutions include early childhood development education centers, primary and junior secondary schools, senior schools, training, vocational education and training, that's TVETs, and innovation hubs in universities and institutions for children with disabilities. In all these, the foundation has integrated water and sanitation and hygiene and environmental conservation through growing of trees within the institutions. Collectively, therefore, these efforts have enabled the M-Pesa Foundation to reach and positively impact, we estimate, over 4.3 million learners across the country. So, as I conclude, today we embark on a new journey that will transform the lives of millions of Kenyans over the next few years. Built on lessons from years past, we embark on building resilient pathways for the citizens of tomorrow. I invite you all to walk this journey with us as we elevate the education continuum, improving learning outcomes, building a future-fit education center for the leaders and change makers of coming generations in this country and in Africa as a whole. Thank you very much for being with us, and we appreciate all of you, and particularly those who have been on this journey with us. We do not take you for granted. We want you to feel as much part of these efforts as we feel, and to participate fully with the objective of realizing an outcome that we shall all appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nicholas Nganga, for your wise and inspiring words and your continued determination and resilience in leadership transformation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, an old saying goes that seeing is believing, hearing is just rumors. So let's take this moment to enjoy a visual experience of the impacts the Safaricom and M-Pesa Foundation have had on the entire country of Kenya. Let's watch a video.
Across Kenya, hope is finding its way back into classrooms. Through Safaricom and M-Pesa Foundations, dreams are being restored, futures are being rewritten, and a generation is being empowered to rise. Through our projects, the two foundations enable access to quality education for every learner in every county, from early childhood to tertiary level. It is about giving our children dignity. It's about creating spaces where teachers can teach and learners can dream without limits.
Our intention is at least 100 schools in the next few years, which is a fantastic way of showcasing what M-Pesa Foundation can be. There is no county out of the 47 counties where M-Pesa Foundation has not invested, especially in health or education.
The future belongs to those who are prepared for it, and every child deserves that chance.
We are doing this again in support of M-Pesa Foundation, the Citizen of the Future program. The Citizen of the Future program is all about equipping young people with digital skills.
The school was in a pathetic situation whereby the walls of the classrooms were dilapidated, they had cracks, they had a rusted roof. We also had no kitchen. It was just a structure made of mabati. That is where we would cook something. On the worst side, we had no desks, we had no staff room, and teachers were really struggling. I want to take this opportunity sincerely to thank the Safaricom for what they have done to the community, to learners, teachers, and the locals at large. I appreciate them, and may God bless Safaricom. Long live Safaricom, long live M-Pesa Foundation.
For M-Pesa and Safaricom Foundations, our work goes beyond access. It's about transforming lives.
Education in particular has been an area we have seen has the power to unlock our community's potential and enhance our people's livelihoods.
I just want to thank M-Pesa Foundation for what they've done for us. I want to thank them for giving us computers. For those students who, like me, those who want to study STEM, it will be easy for them to study it because the computers are here.
For learners like Okech, the future is now digital. And for Bonita, comfort in learning, a future within reach.
I want to thank Safaricom Foundation for giving us lockers, because in our class we sit 5 pupils in one desk. God bless you and live long.
I honestly wish I could be a fly on the wall on Monday when the children come in and they're able for the first time to be able to use the infrastructure that we have provided to them, to move away from their previous dilapidated facilities that they previously had, and to move into an environment where they can learn in comfort, where they can focus on what their teachers are teaching them, where they can use the ablution facilities, where they have access to water, and come here every day and just prepare themselves for the future.
This is inclusion. This is equity. This is partnership with purpose. Because when we invest in education, we invest in the heart of our nation. Together, we are raising a generation of dreamers, innovators, and leaders of the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, the citizens of the future. And it is at this point that I would like to recognize the presence of our chief guest. PS in the Ministry of Education, Ambassador Julius Bitok. Thank you so much for your presence here. You will remember we were here a few weeks ago with the M-Pesa Education Summit. And also at this moment, I would like to let everybody in the room and those joining us online that we're also live now on Citizen Television, and would like to thank you for joining us. This is the Citizens of the Future. It is an initiative by the M-Pesa Foundation towards building an inclusive and future-ready, future-resilient education in the country. It is a collaboration of those in the private sector, those in government, teachers, learners, parents, doing it all together towards envisioning what could be the future of this country and, of course, the citizens of the future. So a very warm welcome to those watching us live on Citizen Television, those who have been with us online, and all of you here in the room. We will be getting to the launch moment so that you can understand just what is at stake here and what we are launching here today. But let's have our panel conversation this afternoon here as we launch this Citizens of the Future initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite my panelists up here on stage, starting with Dr. Esther Moria, who is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for TVET. Thank you very much for joining us. Karibu sana. Also, I'd like to invite Mr. Daniel Sanoe, who is the Deputy Director at the Kenya Institute of Special Education. Thank you very much for being with us today. Mr. Joseph Ogutu is the Safaricom Foundation Chair. You've seen him in those videos. They're taking part and parcel in the work and really getting down and dirty. He's trying to look younger because this is about the citizens of the future. Please join us. Thank you very much. Last but not least, Anne Joy is a student at the Kibondeni College. Anne, please join us here on stage. And we want to talk about what technology means and the breakthrough that it has provided. So I'd like us to welcome them on stage, and also on stage for those joining us on Citizen Television, it's not just myself. Also, I have my co-MC, and that is Mr. Basil Omondi. If you can come and join us here on the far end of the stage, I'll appreciate that. Please give him a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have our seats. So as we begin this conversation, I think a place to start with is you, Joe. We've seen you in the videos, but maybe you could also just tell us about the shift in purpose that is represented by this launch of the Citizens of the Future.
Yeah, so one of the things that we have noted is that our young people, although we are preparing them for the digital future, the facilities are not there. We have about 23,000 primary schools across the country. We have about 10 to 11,000 high schools across the country. However, not all of them have the necessary equipment to be able to offer digital skills. So as we go to these schools, it is extremely heartwarming. As we hand over these schools, extremely heartwarming to see how the young people are interacting with the computer for a very, very first time. And one of the things that I've noted is that young people are very quick learners. And you find them smiling, they're already doing their searches and so on and so forth. So if I may just say that it is really, really important that we equip our schools because we're preparing them for a digital future. We cannot talk about preparing them for a digital future when they don't have the facilities to equip them to do so.
Mm-hmm. Basil?
Allow me to take a shot at Dr. Esther Moria, the PS State Department for the TVET. The question is, what has been the single biggest impact of private sector collaboration on our national education system, and where has it fallen short?
It's on.
Thank you very much. And I want to appreciate all of us who are here today to have this conversation. collaboration with industry ensures that we are getting the right things done. We have to shift at the Ministry of Education from having things taught just on a theory basis. It is time that we have to take an active walk, literal walk, to the industries, and that is why I have just landed from Mombasa, but I had to be here because this is a private sector conversation, and I wanted to come so that we start we go on with a very active conversation on what is it that we are training for, especially at the tertiary level, where we have been training or lecturing or teaching for the heck of it, or because there is a curricula for us to finish up. That time has to go. We have to collaborate with industry so that even as we train, we have an end in mind. This is what we are training for. This is the gap that we are filling, so that we are no longer going to struggle with, after we graduate these young people, what is it that they are going to do? The reverse should be, this is what we need people to be doing. Therefore, can we partner with industry to come up with the curricula that we are going to train for them to do this? That is the most important aspect of collaborating with industry, so that we are training directionally. The problem has been looking for industry. At the State Department now, we have a team that is tasked with the responsibility of working every day to industry to be able to understand this. But industry is too busy producing. And therefore asking them, wait, post kidogo, I have come so that we have a conversation. Munataka nini? They are too busy. So having this conversation with industry has not been easy. And even when we have been able to have that conversation, the equipment, the requisite equipment, the requisite even manpower to be able to train in the requisite manner is not easily forthcoming. And finally, of course, the industry space, especially the digital one that we are talking about now, changes very fast. And therefore the question is, how is the education space going to catch up with the transitional nature of industry space, especially the digital one? But we still have to put our best foot forward as educators, because we are the people who must get this done.
Indeed, especially towards getting us the citizens of the future. And maybe getting a glimpse into that, Anne, you could talk to us about your experience at Kibondeni College. Maybe you can tell us, we understand tech has already been such a breakthrough in your learning. You could give us a little bit about that experience, and perhaps as you do that, talk to us about one traditional aspect of the current classroom that you think needs to change.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kabari Andre, a student from Kibondeni College. I would say discovering global learning platforms in the hotel industry. Kibondeni majorly deals with hospitality, and I'll talk about, for example, when we are doing our practical classes. For example, for kitchen, teachers share recipes, and as a student, we have the privilege to go before the teacher, go online, research, and even watch. For example, on YouTube, you can watch international chefs demonstrating on how to prepare a particular dish. So anytime you're going to class, You have knowledge. You're not so blank what the teacher is going to be talking about. You're prepared at least. There's what you have in mind already, and I think one of the things we really need to work on, the traditional class that we need to do right now is, I think we are so focused on training students on exam memorization and passing the exams. It will be my prayer that education becomes, how will I put it? Education becomes a collaboration, not just competition, not just for passing exams, but do you have enough skills? Once you're out there, you have the certificates, you have your papers. Do you have the skills to show, Besides having the papers, you also need skills, because I think it's a major problem where someone, yes, they have distinctions, they have passed with first class honors, but they don't have skills, They just have papers to show, but when it comes to the ground, they're really not equipped.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Basil?
A quick question to Mr. Daniel Sanoe, who is the Deputy Director of the Kenyan Institute for Special Education. When we think about infrastructure in the educational space, we usually refer to physical ramps. But in a modern context, how must we redefine infrastructure and technology to ensure that they deliver not just access, but genuine equity and learning success for students with diverse disabilities?
Thank you. Thank you very much. As he has said, my name is Daniel. I represent Director, Kenya Institute of Special Education, Dr. Norman Kiogora. Just before I answer your question, Kenya Institute of Special Education is an agency of the Ministry of Education, responsible specifically for issues special needs education and disabilities. Between March and October, the 25th, we have carried out 17 medical camps in partnership with M-Pesa Foundation, in which we have identified 3,289 learners with special needs and disabilities that are in the process of being assisted. To your question, getting learners to school is a brick and mortar issue. The real issue comes in when you get them to the school system, where then they meet teachers and infrastructure that is not accommodative. They will have gotten the ramps getting into the class, the teacher is there, the books are there, they can't access the books. They get to technology that they're expected to use to acquire skills for the market, a technology that they can't access because the technology is mechanical. Mechanical, then they can't access it because you are visually impaired, you can't see it. You are hearing impaired, you can't hear the sound you are expected to hear to make a conclusion then that will be graded. And therefore, you are unable to access the technology that is there. The future is, while we get the students to get scholarships and get to schools, let us go to the next level, where now we move to adapt the assistive devices they use in the school system so that then what we sponsored them, what we gave them a scholarship to acquire, then they are able to acquire. Because we are getting them to the school, yes, they are there, spend your 3 years, your 4 years, you are very comfortable, you have got uniform, but you are unable to get what was expected for you to get. Then that which will enable you to get to the market to be employed. And therefore we are saying, while we get the kids to get to the school, they'll spend their years, but they'll come out and do not have the skills that will be used to employ them.
Yeah.
Because they can't access.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll invite you, Basil, to ask our panelists for a final call to action. Just in a minute or two, Joseph, what would success for the Citizens of the Future initiative look like? And that will be your final call as well.
Okay, so first of all, we have to put it into context. As I said, the schools are many, 23,000 in primary schools, about 11,000 public high schools. So the enormity of the challenge is absolutely, regardless of what Safaricom will announce today. So for me, the first thing success will look at like being influencing other private sectors to come and support the development of education. You know, whatever Safaricom announces today, that it will be a catalytic force to bring in more players into this sector, because it cannot be left to the government, cannot be left to the county government. All of us need a contribution. The second thing that I can say about that is that we want to see 5, 6, 10 years from today, that those who have got the digital skills are now able to compete with the very best in the globe. Because that's the whole reason. You're looking at a global economy. So the products of our schools and colleges must be able to compete with the very best. And then finally, I was just reminded that the kids that are actually doing KGSE, this called KEPSEA and KGSEA, now, as we speak, 10 years from today, these are the kids that will be joining employment. These are the kids that will be joining the job market. So all of us who are employers, all of us who are in industry, we've got a vested interest to make sure that these kids are well prepared to take their position in society, to make their contribution so that we are in a globally competitive environment. I thank you.
Thank you. Basil, you want to lead us through?
The views shared by the panelists are a clear reminder that this is about the community initiative and not a single parcel entity kind of work. And I have a question to the audience to foster the collaboration, because we are here today to discuss technology, infrastructure, and training. But at the very core of these initiatives is the people. So could any of you want to share an experience or a story that perfectly captures the kind of empowerment and opportunity we are ultimately trying to create today?
Anyone? Yes, just one. Can we have a mic here at the front? Man in the checked shirt. And we'll ask you to stand up, please. So just one, and maybe you could give us your name and your organization. Please make your remarks in 1 minute, please. It's on. Okay, maybe we can get him another mic real quick.
Okay.
There we are.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Vincent Ochieng Ayako. Nice to meet you, PS. We've been to your office. And our model is, I work for the Global Peace Foundation Kenya. And what we're discussing today is what we also promote at the Global Peace Foundation Kenya, of talking about transforming education in the Global South towards 2050. And what my younger brothers talked about, the traditional model system is keen on promoting knowledge acquisition, skills, and very less on collaboration and character. So when you're looking at 2050, when you're talking about, like right now, if you look at the landscape of Kenya, in 2050, everybody will acquire the skills that we need, because at that time, education will be free. So looking at the future, what do we need to focus on now is raising learners and students who are of character and value. So the foundational base should be character acquisition, followed by skills and collaboration, and then the aspect of knowledge acquisition. So looking at the future, we need to focus more on the character development as enshrined in our 2010 Constitution, that is Article 10, Principles of Governance and National Values. Thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for that very powerful reminder. What a powerful reminder on character development as well. Thank you very much. I would like to thank each of the panelists for being here. Dr. Esther Moria, who is the PS State Department for TIVET, Daniel Sanoe, Deputy Director from KISE. Please pass our best regards to the Director and thank him for being here with us. Mr. Joseph Ogutu from the Safaricom Foundation as its chair, and Anne Joy from Kibondeni College. We wish you all the very best. Ladies and gentlemen, please give the panel a warm round of applause. You may take your seats, as well as my co-MC, Mr. Basil Omondi. Thank you very much for that as we go. I'd like us to walk down on stage as we introduce what's to come next. And this is because we want to take a look at what it means. I mean, we've heard about character development and building our future citizens in more ways than one, beyond academics, beyond science. But it's also about using art as a very powerful tool for passing messages along, seeing as it's a universal language. And we will get to that in a moment. I just want one final comment from you. Now you'll be one of my panelists. In about a minute, tell us what citizens of the future, when you think about that, what that means for you, Basil.
Citizens of the future, what it means to me is the empowerment and the opportunity of leadership being transitioned from a generation to another. It is the intergenerational transition of power where we empower the next generation for future sustainability in leadership and the global economy.
Do you feel like you are getting that? Is it?
Yes.
Because you say it's a collaboration, right?
It is.
Do you feel like you are getting enough of that? And maybe what more can be done, Basil?
I feel like I am getting as much as we can offer currently, and that is why we are gathered here today, so that we can expand our horizons and expand what we have to offer, so that we equip people much better than they were before.
Yeah. What one thing would you change, or add on, or do better, or do more of?
I feel like Safaricom is actually doing very well for themselves. They are addressing every concern that we might have had on the educational system. Because, as they say, the traditional system is more on memorization and grasping information. But what you're trying to build here is a population of people that actually have the relevant skills that can be applied in the real world.
Right. And that call of action goes beyond Safaricom to all of private sector. This is a call towards everybody coming together towards creating an initiative like this that looks at education holistically and the entire ecosystem. I think, like was said on the panel a little earlier, it means, of course, that these citizens of the future are the ones you are going to be hiring, and hopefully will also be the ones eventually hiring others. So this is a call to action, not just to Safaricom, but to each and every one of you that is in this room, that is watching us online and live on Citizen Television. I think the call to action towards creating a citizens of the future, a future-ready, future-resilient population is one that is a responsibility for all of us. And it's not just private sector, but it is those in government as well. And so now, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to get to the next stage here. We've been talking about music and art as a universal language. Ladies and gentlemen, under the banner of the Art of Music Foundation, this uses music education to empower young people, particularly from disadvantaged backgrounds. Ladies and gentlemen, having impacted over 1,500 children in Nairobi and elsewhere, and also proudly supported by the M-Pesa Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, up next to show you how we can empower young people through the gift of music and mentorship, please put your hands together for the Ghetto Classics.
wonderful performance by the Ghetto Classics. You know, they say music touches the heart, but stories make the heart grow. And we have just seen a display of both music and stories in one setting. A round of applause.
Absolutely. Many wonderful opportunities through music and art, and I hope that just continues to grow. And art does build character in many ways, more than we imagine. So once again, for Ghetto Classics, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, now we're getting to the launch of the Citizens of the Future, and to then hear from the top leadership at Safaricom, as well as also hearing from government representatives at the Ministry of Education, because like we said, this is a collaboration between public and private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, to build on that powerful message we've heard here all afternoon, please welcome, with a warm round of applause, the CEO of Safaricom PLC, Mr. Peter Ndegwa.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, I have a sling, which means I'm injured. Yeah, so I need some energy. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. That is better. I'm sure some of you are looking at the CEO and wondering, you're having a Woye type feeling. So anyway. So before I do the kind of formal pieces, and unlike Michael, who does not follow instructions, for me I do, so I will have a formal speech, Michael. You know, Michael doesn't realize that when you make fun of people, make it when you are the last speaker, not when you are the first speaker. But the advantage I have is that I know both our former chairman, Nicholas Nganga, who is also now the the M-Pesa Foundation chair, but also Michael, so I can make fun of all of them. So before I do that, I wanted to explain to you why I have a sling. So I was injured. I was not injured fighting, and my wife is here, so she can actually confirm, unless she's the one who was fighting me. But I was actually injured. The people who work with me know I do like climb mountains, run, and all that stuff. But I was not injured doing any of that. I was injured playing a very slow game called golf. So my son, who is pretty good in this game, told me, "So you are injured playing golf? It must have been a really bad swing." So you can tell that he knows that my swing is not great. So let me now go back to the reason why we are here today. I wanted to acknowledge the MCs today. Yvonne, for at least you got our message last time when you were with us. At least today you have an iPad. Last time she had paper. But also she knew that she was with I don't know whether it's a Gen Z. Yeah, it's a Gen Z, 18-year-old. So Mondi, you were born in the same year as M-Pesa. So when you ask Omondi whether, you know, he doesn't know anything other than that there is M-Pesa. And then I remembered there was that question about what do you remember from school? Do you remember chalk? So when you went, the only thing the only instrument that the teachers used to have those days was a blackboard and chalk. And it was interesting that the chair told us that in his school, it was called substandard. So we produced a chairman from a substandard start. Tells you just how important education is. But just talking about citizens of the future. So recently I have interacted I went for Starehe Girls' 20th anniversary. and some of the trustees from M-Pesa Foundation who are there. We were doing a fence, a wall, a perimeter wall, 1.5 kilometer perimeter wall to protect the girls, but we were also supporting. And then I saw my Vice Chancellor of Mary University. Recently, we were doing the graduation last week, actually, 2 years. Welcome, Vice Chancellor. Again, thinking about students who are looking into the future. And then recently, we went for UNGA, which is the UN General Assembly meetings, and we had dinner with the alumni of M-Pesa Academy. One of the students is actually working for Goldman Sachs. So it tells you just the impact that this can have on individuals. And then the final one that I wanted to talk about, and I told some of the trustees when we were waiting to come here, my nephew who did O-levels last year, because he had left his revision so late, and he can code, he had this AI and coding and all these things he used at that age, and summarized past papers, and was able to read at short notice. So he told the mom, why were you worried that I was not prepared? So that's an example of just how interacting with young people or the latest generation that we are talking about, citizens of the future, is so important, but actually about thinking about their future. So I'm really happy to be here, because education has also had a major impact on my own life and my own personal and professional life. So that's why I'm so happy that we are launching Citizens of the Future. So I want to only acknowledge the Principal Secretary, PSB Talk, for coming. He will talk to us in a minute. And then, of course, our chairman of the foundation, the trustees of M-Pesa, all our invited guests, our employee base who have attended today. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, so today marks a defining moment, not just for Safaricom, because I'll talk on behalf of Safaricom, but for the future of education in Kenya. I know we see labels like M-Pesa Foundation, Safaricom Foundation. They would not have happened if Safaricom did not exist. Those foundations are there because of what Michael described about what Safaricom is about, which is about transforming lives. So as we celebrate 25 years of Safaricom, we are proud to launch Citizens of the Future, a program that reflects an enduring commitment to communities we serve. I've already acknowledged everyone, but let me specifically acknowledge the visionary leadership of the Board of Trustees led by our chair, Nicholas Nganga, but also Michael, who talked about people retiring, but has been chair in the past and has also been CEO. So Michael, be careful what you talk about. But their dedication to M-Pesa Foundation has laid the groundwork for this transformative initiative. Their invariable contribution have propelled the foundation's progress. And I'm talking about M-Pesa Foundation, but also we can say the same of Safaricom Foundation, leading us to this day where we celebrate our achievements, but also chart a new path for impactful education interventions. So over the years, we've made significant strides in education. I'm especially proud of the work that we have done across many parts of our country, not just through the foundations, but also through our commercial business. I'm sure many of you in this room have heard enough stories or have their own stories of their own struggles during their school-going days. When they ran the video and you saw the state of some of those classrooms, you understand why this is important. My own journey would not be complete without mentioning the one school I went, my primary school. Many of you laugh when I mentioned this school. I went to a school called Gaindaithia. For those who speak that language, it is God help me, or God help us. And I'm still around. But this is where I began my learning journey and laid the foundation for academic success. And this is what we need to create for many more kids out there. So I studied, I would say, in conditions that were far from ideal. But I have to say, despite the fact that they were far from ideal, the infrastructure then was newer because a lot of it was actually constructed in the 50s and 60s. Whilst the infrastructure you see today is now more than 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. So the conditions were not ideal in Gaidedia, but eventually I ended up in Starehe and made my progress from then on. So the truth, ladies and gentlemen, is that no child should have to struggle just to learn. And we know that we cannot intervene on all the 25,000 primary schools or all the 11,000 secondary schools, but we can do our part. So Citizens of the Future, it's about changing the narrative that most of us grew with. It's about creating equal opportunities for every learner, regardless of where they come from. I'll briefly talk about Safaricom's intervention, including some of the commercial elements. At Safaricom, our purpose, as you have been told, is driving our purpose, which is transforming lives, drive everything we do. We prioritize the needs of communities, especially in education, but also in health, in economic empowerment, and in environment. And we prioritize in addition to our commercial success, because we have been very successful commercially. And that's why we've embedded the SDGs, which is the Sustainability Development Goals, and also produced sustainability report every year, making commitments about how we drive sustainability. And looking at SDGs, SDG number 4, it's about quality education, guiding the interventions that we create. And one of our core beliefs is that we thrive when our communities thrive. And we measure our successes by the positive impact we create in people's lives. We connect people to people, and you'll have heard this before. We connect people to opportunities and people to information and knowledge. And for us, education is a key point which gives an opportunity to connect people to opportunities through conducive learning spaces and people to information through access to quality education. And I know the kind of way of learning and the outcomes are actually changing, especially in a digital world. We've developed education interventions that seeks to bridge the gap in our communities through innovation and material support, which has been spoken of throughout this afternoon. We've been laying the foundations for us to be a technology company. And over the years, we've produced products, including very basic products like Shupavu 291, which is SMS-based, with the NESA Foundation, which offers the opportunity for learners to access education through mobile-based solutions. Zeraki Learning is another option for secondary school students to learn through audio-visual channels from our Safaricom app. We also established instant network schools to avail opportunities for our refugee learners in Kakuma and Dadaab camps through internet connectivity. So we make sure that no one is left behind. Our partnership with UNICEF and Huawei is connecting over 30,000 students to the digital literacy through ICT infrastructure. So partnership is quite important. No one can do this alone. So now talking briefly about the Citizens of the Future, because I know probably people like Michael might be wondering, when is Peter going to finish his speech? Citizens of the Future, the thing I normally say to Michael, I will still read my speech. So Citizens of the Future brings all these efforts together. All the interventions, instead of doing them in piecemeal, we are bringing them all together. So over the next 5 years, we will invest many billions of shillings. I don't want to say because I'm a trustee of M-Pesa Foundation, and I may be seen to have committed before we actually approve, but many billions of shillings to improve education outcomes, starting with at least 500 schools over the next 5 years in 47 counties. That's not enough. That's not a good enough clap. So you can multiply the impact of 500 schools, and every year you'll be producing kids from those schools across all 47 counties, so that we make sure we are inclusive. And as citizens of the future, we'll also provide infrastructure upgrades, digital upskilling for teachers and learners, and scholarships for youth in TVET institutions. We intend to cover at least 10,000 scholarships in the same period. Some of you probably are not clapping because you're out of range in terms of getting scholarship, but there are some who but probably your niece or nephew or neighbor might benefit. We'll also provide scholarships to the TVET institutions, because it's also about craft. And then for teachers, it's impacting about 10,000 teachers to make sure they have digital literacy skills, so that they... we know these teachers, by and large, are actually Gen Zs, for the most part, and millennials. But there's also existing teachers who will probably go for learning, so that, or for retraining, so that they can be able to operate in a digital world. So, ladies and gentlemen, so this is not just buildings. It is about building futures. We are laying the foundations for tomorrow's. We are laying the foundations for tomorrow's leaders, innovators, and change makers. So you'll be glad I'm closing now. So as we transition, and our business, we talk about transitioning from a telco to Africa's leading purpose-led technology company, combining the power of technology and innovation to solve issues that affect society, but also customers. Technology will be the engine that drives this program. We want to nurture future-ready learners who thrive long after they leave the classroom. So we want to create more Mondis, more of the lady that I met who works for Goldman Sachs, more of the group of kids you saw either from Ghetto Classics or from the M-Pesa Academy playing instruments, which many of them could not play a few years ago. So what are we asking Kenyans today is to partner with us and to walk with us on this journey. So to nominate a school, an early child, the chairman, they are called Early Childhood Development and Education Center this time, not substandard, or a college you believe that deserves support. So in the same way that we go with Dr. Zetu and you apply, there will be a platform where every Kenyan will, or institution or individuals, will have the opportunity to apply. And I'm sure you'll be shown how the online platform or the SMS number that will be needed. This nomination will run starting today once we unveil the program on the 30th of October to the 30th of November, so a month-long process of placing your request. The selected institutions will then be communicated to, and those that will benefit will also be communicated to, so that you can receive the upgrades that we have spoken about. So finally, I want to say, as we mark 25 years of Safaricom transforming lives, citizens of the future is our gift to our learners and to our country by extension. A bold step towards a more inclusive, more empowered, and more educated Kenya. Indeed, it is the evidence and desire for us to continue to transform lives. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. And as Yvonne said earlier, there is no institution, no one can do this alone. The government is always a very critical stakeholder and partner of anything you do in education, in health, in economic empowerment, and also in environment, So the government is always a great partner, both at a national level, but also at county level. And therefore, it is my pleasure to welcome PS Bitok, who we have worked with before he came to this ministry, and will continue to work with PS. And welcome. I know you're a professor, but I like calling him PS Bitok because I have known PS for quite a while. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Michael. Oh, Peter. Sorry, Peter. Peter Ndegwa. Now, as introduced, my name is Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, PS for Basic Education. And I have a speech here, which I want to read. But before I read the speech, allow me to share a few thoughts about citizens of the future. And maybe before I share my thoughts, Peter, I'm really very happy to be part of this conversation on citizens of the future. So I want to sincerely thank you and your team for inviting me to speak this afternoon about education and about the future of our country. Well, when you look at the title, Citizens of the Future, it's a very, what do you call it? It's a very sexy topic. It's a very interesting topic. Citizens of the future. And which future are we talking about? Are we the future? Are we the present? Where are we as we sit here? When you look at Kenya in 1963, if they had this topic on the table, what future would they have been talking about? In 1963, Kenya was at par with the Eastern Tigers, Singapore, Malaysia, and those ones. Their GDP was around between 100 USD to about 500. Today, about 60 years down the line, those ones are talking about a GDP per capita of about 90,000. Kenya, which was between 100 and 300 thereabouts, is talking about 2,500. What is the difference? Maybe they got the concept earlier than ourselves. Maybe. Now, as we sit here and as we interrogate this very important topic, it is very important that we understand that the decisions we make today will either make our country or keep us where we are, or even sometimes take us back. One of the things which Singapore did to be able to move from per capita of 300 USD to 90,000 USD is investing in education. And they were very deliberate. They took their best brains to the best schools in the world, wherever education was available. They took them to UK, US, wherever you can imagine. So as we think about citizens of the future, one of the most important investments we have to make is investment in education. And for the last 60 years, the government has been trying her best. Right now, the government is investing about 702 billion, which is about 16% of the GDP. But if you look at the yesteryears, we were investing like 10%, 5%, and you cannot move if you don't put your investment in education. So, Safaricom Foundation, M-Pesa Foundation, this is the right thing to do. And borrowing again from Singapore, if you read the book by our friend, I said here in our last conversation, the Prime Minister then of Singapore crafted an ideology called helicopter quality. He was saying everybody who serves in the government in strategic positions must have what we call helicopter quality, having 3 dimensions. One, imagination. You must have powerful imagination to be able to imagine the future. You must also have a very powerful analysis. You must be able to analyze complex problems and give solutions. And of course, you must also be cognizant to the sense of reality. So, as we reflect on this topic, and as Safaricom Foundation and M-Pesa Foundation bring us together, let us put our minds together, let us think together, let us reason together so that we get it right, so that we don't again, 50 years down the line, we are still talking about 2,500 USD per capita. Now allow me now to go to my speech. I hope I've joked your mind a little bit, and I want to begin formally now. Sorry, now, Peter introduced me as a professor, so I had to do some little lecture before I get to the substance of the day. So sorry if I have offended one or two of you around. The chairman and trustees of Safaricom Foundation and M-Pesa Foundation, the chief executive officer of Safaricom PLC, development partners and education stakeholders present, teachers, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I wish to start by extending my gratitude to Safaricom PLC and its philanthropic arms, M-Pesa Foundation and Safaricom Foundation, for inviting me to this important event. I take note of the fact that I have the privilege of interacting with people who have individually and collectively done a lot to improve access to quality education in Kenya. Through your vision and most importantly, philanthropy in form of millions of shillings in education investments, you have impacted for the better of the lives of learners of more than 3,000 learning institutions around the country. Collectively, the initiative undertaken by these two foundations have positively impacted over 3 million learners. And that is at about 25% of the learners we have in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm particularly thrilled by the rallying call of today's meeting, Citizens of the Future, that is COF. If you recall, in July this year, at the same venue we are today, your two foundations hosted another thought-provoking summit on reimagining the future of education to factor in inclusivity and resilience. Today's agenda is therefore a natural progression of that conversation. And it is timely conversation whose significance and timeliness could not be more ideal in the light of development in our education system. As you're all aware, the introduction of CBC, which has now graduated to CBE, has an attendant pressure on existing education institutions. Coupled with the exponential rise in learners' population over the years, shifting trends and innovations in learning technology, and the national wear and tear of infrastructure in our schools, the demand for newer and better investments in education is a necessity we must collectively address sooner than later. This program aims to remake our educational environment into modern, inclusive, digitally equipped spaces that ready both the students and the teachers for the demands of the present and the future. Today's theme serves as a reminder that education extends beyond preparing students for exams. It's about equipping them with skills, values, resilience needed to succumb to in the dynamic world. It must foster adaptability, creativity, empathy, and integrity. And these are the core of our competence-based education. The current education system that we are now transitioning from grade 9 to grade 10. That is what really captures. And that reminds me of the words of one of the American philosophers called Ralph Waldo Emerson. In one of his quotes, and I quote him, he says, "Character is higher than intellect. A great soul will live as well as think." End of quote. Let me repeat again. An American philosopher who indeed said, and I think one of the gentlemen here actually raised that very fundamental issue. It's no longer about exam. It's no longer about just writing and passing exam. It's about character, it's about innovation, it's about skills. And therefore, American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson indeed said, "Character is higher than intellect. A great soul will live as well as think." End of quote. So therefore, our goal is to prepare learners not only for careers, but also for responsible citizenship, encouraging critical thinking, ethical service, and innovative thinking to build for a better future. As a ministry, we desire to see more fit-for-purpose futuristic investments in the mold of M-Pesa Foundation. We admire the Academy's pragmatic focus on competence and leadership, along with mentorship, psychosocial support that ensures students are not only academically provisioned, but also socially responsible and capable of competing globally. We also appreciate that such investments must deliberately reach out to learners with special needs. And I like what the director from KISA was saying. Your foundation is a living example of this approach through the provisions of assistive devices such as braille tools, mobility aids, speech-to-text systems, among other systems. Building on this impressive legacy, the Citizens of the Future program marks the next ambitious phase, an educational transformation initiative aiming to upgrade at least 600 public, primary, and junior schools by the year 2030. And as you're all aware from the presentation of the CEO, our key focus areas of the program, of course, includes modernizing infrastructure. Some of our schools, including the so-called C1 schools or the former national schools, which have been here for the last 100 years, their infrastructure is dilapidated. It's getting worse by day. So we did that upgrade. Incorporating digital learning skills into the classroom, we need to go more digital, to go more digital content in the classroom. Enhancing teacher training to equip educators with the 21st century skills, creating structured pathways to scholarships, skills development, and employment opportunities. As government, we are currently investing heavily, and as I've said, we are now doing 710 billion per year. And it continues because the government believes education is the single most important investment that can change the future of our country. And in this 710 billion investment, it includes the recent employment of 76,000 teachers and counting. In the next 2 months, we're having another 24,000 to make it 100,000. We have expansion of classrooms and labs. We are now doing 1,000 labs. We have done 23,000 classrooms. We are also deploying 1.2 million devices around the country in terms of laptops, smart boards, and many other equipment that are going to aid learning and make it better. We're also developing modern data management systems including Kenya Education Management Information System, which we are working also with Safaricom, so that they can be able to help us deploy what we call Maisha number for the juniors. And we are also leveraging on Safaricom's opportunity that they have created in terms of call centers around the country. We want education to be as accessible, and if anyone parent has a question, they should be able to reach the Ministry of Education through an active 24-hour call center that is going to be powered by Safaricom. These initiatives, of course, ensure that no child, regardless of their location, their gender, or their abilities, is left behind. Education relies on collaboration. Some of these things cannot be done by government alone. It's about partnership. It's about collaborating with the private sector. And we are saying, while the government formulates policy and allocates resources, it is through partnerships like this one here that meaningful change really materializes. It is unless the private sector come in. If you look at what's happening around the world, education is not only a government affair. It is a shared responsibility. If you look at the top universities, top institutions around the world, they are not necessarily government institutions, even private sector. There are people who have dedicated a lot of their resources. There is a lot of investment. And that is why what Safaricom Foundation, what M-Pesa Foundation is doing is so important to our country in ensuring that we get access and quality education. The Citizens of the Future program exemplifies how private sector can complement government initiatives to achieve sustainable, equitable progress. Ladies and gentlemen, as we inaugurate the Citizens of the Future program today, we reaffirm our shared conviction that education is the key equalizer, the pathway to opportunity, and the backbone of a fair and prosperous nation. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, I want to take this opportunity to thank Safaricom PLC, the M-Pesa Foundation, Safaricom Foundation for your steadfast dedication to our learners and educators. This initiative is not just about modernizing schools. It's about transforming lives. It's about equipping the next generation of Kenyans to be confident, to be skilled, to be compassionate, and to prepare them for a prosperous future. It is with great pride that I now officially, I don't know whether I'm there already, launch the M-Pesa Foundation's Citizen of the Future program. Thank you for listening to me. Sorry, I've read to the end. Sorry, you have told me there's something to press. I don't know whether there's something to press. Or I've just left without pressing anything. Ivan, you need to help me here because... All right, thank you very much. Sorry, it's an interesting time, an interesting space to be. And in this one, I follow the steps of Michael. All right, a little bit of a joke. So there's nobody to talk behind me, and Melissa visited. Very good. Thank you very much. Back to you, Yvonne. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. It's been really a great pleasure to be part of this conversation. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Indeed, thank you very much, Bona PS. You may take your seat. The moment we're a little more sophisticated around here. We don't just push buttons, and we'll show you what that means in a moment. But thank you very much for doing that. And so to just pick up on where you've left it, Bona PS, is the moment we've been waiting for. I want to just build on your momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to launch the Citizens of the Future initiative, this is the moment we've been waiting for. gentlemen, that future begins right here, right now, and we're unlocking that future for the citizens of the future. This is our robot, ladies and gentlemen, called Amy, presenting the key to unlocking the future. I invite Peter Ndegwa to come up and receive this key symbolically as we unlock the future for the citizens and the learners. To receive this, give him a warm round of applause as he receives this key from Amy, the robot. Buona PS, this is what we were talking about. And Peter, I now invite you to get on stage and you can hand over this key symbolically. Please get on stage, Peter, and we can hand this key symbolically to the students and the citizens of the future. Ambassador Julius Bitok, Professor, we invite you on stage as well to do this symbolic handover. This is what this program is all about. Aligning all our actions in digital, infrastructure, and economy. Perhaps we can give you a bigger key, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give you a bigger key, one that's bigger, and we can take that photo with that. Thank you very much. If you can, yes, let's have that bigger key there that marks the launch of what we're saying is an all-inclusive, future-ready, future-resilient education system that prepares these young men and women to be globally competitive. Thank you very much. We've had those photos. You may now take your seats. It's a symbol of collaboration between public and private sector, and it's all geared towards these learners and citizens of the future. Thank you very much, Peter Ndegwa, our students of the future, and Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok. You may take your seats now. Thank you very much. And this is what we are talking about. Now that this has happened, ladies and gentlemen, I want to capture this powerful moment that we have just witnessed on stage. When we talk about citizens of the future, this is what we mean. Watch.
I'm not just a dreamer. I'm your thank you from the future. I'm that possibility, sparking from the chance you gave to that child. Mimi kesho yako, umeniwezesha mimi kusimama imara. You gave me a place to stand, and I move the world. Mimi ndiye kesho.
Join us by nominating a school that needs an upgrade. Together, let's transform education and create the citizens of the future.
That is indeed the future. And it's not just a dream, it is something that is possible. By the way, that song was performed by the Safaricom choir. Can we give them a round of applause? Capturing the future and the dream. And it's not just a dream, ladies and gentlemen. It is very possible, if we can hold on that for a moment. This is the dream we have. This is what we imagine it to be. I'd like us to watch what that vision could possibly be. Is that possible, ladies and gentlemen? Is it possible? It definitely is. And this is not a dream, this is a reality. And that is what we're here to show you today. The citizens of the future in a learning institution like that embodies everything. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to pay some special recognition here today to somebody who's very important. And I'd like to pay special recognition to Eunice Madenge from M-Pesa Holding. Thank you very much for that. Let us now have this moment. Please, let's just hold on that for a moment. We will come back to this. As we close, I would like to invite my co-host and my co-MC, Basil Omondi, to come. Let's give him a warm round of applause as we close. Basil,
Yes,
it has been an honor doing this with you.
It's been an honor taking shots at you.
Yeah, I don't like that, so it's fine. You can feel free to take another shot at me.
Well, normally when I'm watching TV, I see you harassing a number of people during interviews, torturing politicians, interviewing people about things they're not comfortable talking about. And this just felt nice, And let's not rush it. Just enjoy the moment.
You want to live in the moment.
Enjoy the moment.
Would you like a moment of silence for you to take this all in?
Yes.
You were live on Citizen Television, by the way.
Let's breathe, Yvonne.
Okay.
Let's breathe.
Let me know when you're ready.
Can I wrap this up now?
Yes, please.
Now, in future fashion, ladies and gentlemen, in future fashion, Yvonne.
Yes.
Somebody said, I don't know who said, but someone said, the past is history and the future is a mystery. But today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. And we are gathered here today to unwrap this present, to get a map to the future. And the handing over of the key is symbolic as the journey begins. To the future, ladies and gentlemen. To the future. No, you're not coming, Yvonne. Yeah.
Oh no, you're not leaving me behind
not coming,
here.
Yvonne.
I am definitely coming in there. This is the citizens of the future, ladies and gentlemen. This is the citizen of the future, Mr. Basil Omondi. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. We look forward to seeing you and to seeing the progress that all of this becomes. The citizens of the future. And to those of us watching us on Citizen Television, we bid you goodbye and good luck. Those of us still online, we ask you to stay here in the room with us. We can't just let you go like that, can we? No.
Can't.
Okay, but before that, just one little admin. In the process of always trying to make sure we improve our offering, and just so that you can make sure that you see Basil here again and again and again, please scan that QR code and give us some feedback. Please tell me you want Basil again, and the next one, and the one after that. Thank you very much, Basil, and thank you to everybody. I'm Yvonne Okwara.
I'm Basil Omondi.
Goodbye and good luck.
Yvonne, did we forget something, Yvonne?
No, I left it to you. You told me I'm not going with you into the future, so off I go.
What she doesn't know is that I can actually do this on my own, And ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce to you a group of people, perhaps the best in the trade, perhaps the most talented people I know, my people, my family from the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, to give you a final performance.